Hello and welcome to this week's Independent Music Podcast. 10 of the best new tracks each week, hosted by me, Anthony Chalmers.
And me, Gareth May. Hello, welcome to this week's Independent Music Podcast. We started off with Oh Summer Vacation, the track called Hento Sen no Moniko, taken from their record called Wicked Heart, out on Damnably.
Does not sound like a band called Oh Summer Vacation. I wonder if that translates slightly differently in Japanese.
I don't know, but it definitely sounds like some sort of folky Americana.
Exactly, maybe it's more of a gnarly rock name, like as you say it in Japanese. Yeah. And my other feeling about that is that I haven't heard palm beats like that in ages. It made me feel like it was quite 90s.
Yeah, it's definitely got that sort of vibe to it, hasn't it?
But no, some thoroughly enjoyable, noisy punk.
Yeah, what a great way to start the week's podcast. Yeah, like I say, yeah, it's Oh Summer Vacation, Hento Sen no Moniko, which translates as Tonsil Monique, according to Google Translate. But it's their debut album. They're from Kobe in Japan. Noise punk trio. Been around apparently since 2010, but this is their first album. So yeah, it was self-released in 2019, but this is sort of its quote-unquote proper release worldwide, coming through Damnably. Record label of Otoboki Beaver and plenty of other great Japanese music.
Shonen Knife.
and Shonen Knife, yes, and other Japanese music.
Exactly that we mentioned on our live podcast that was last week. Thank you very, very much to all of the patrons who joined us for that. That was thoroughly enjoyable, as always.
Yeah, absolutely cracking. And if you want to rewatch it, I will probably be putting it on the website under the live video section at some point.
On our actual website?
On our actual website.
Not for the patrons?
Only patrons will be able to access it.
Oh, wow. I didn't...
It will live on our website.
I see. Great. Well, anyway, because no, there's like only less than half of the patrons sort of actually in for it, so I know it doesn't work for everyone's sort of schedules and all that, so definitely highly recommend you come back and check that out if you would like to.
Yeah, and if you want to be a patron, patreon.com/independent music podcast, support this ear podcast, and yeah, get your invite to the next one. It's always a lot of fun.
Going to play you the latest single from the Bugs' new album. It was announced maybe a month ago, a bit more. The album's called Fire, and there was a first single that came out called Clash. I thought it was pretty cool, but I was like, I don't love it. I bet that there will be, because we only normally play one single per album, although there's definitely plenty of exceptions to that rule.
I mean, how many Tamaga tracks from their last record did we play? 3?
2 and a remix.
2 and a remix.
Yeah, there's definitely exceptions to that, but generally speaking, I'll play one. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to play that one because I want to wait for the next single because I bet it'll be fucking great. And it absolutely is. It's featuring Flo Dan, London grime MC and longtime collaborator of The Blug. And this track is called Pressure.
You know them a go run out of town when we apply pressure. Babylon time done, yo, send for the stretcher. So when them man a deal with, who can't hear them a go feel it. When if you go sign and seal it, fire can't done, fire just start. Fire a go burn up the whole of them clot. You know them a go run out of town when we apply pressure. Babylon time done, yo, send for the stretcher. So when them man a deal with, who can't hear them a go feel it. When if you go sign and seal it, fire can't done, fire just start. Fire a go burn up this bomber clot. Listen, fresh out the dungeon. Hello when they are in function. Bun a boy skin like Bunsen, but dog them body and them tough like Samson. You know my thing already, me not like action. Me not deal with a long talking, wait for the revolution, but the revolution can't start. We have a blood clot started. Special cover this rotting, shut them for see life as they call it. Politics keeps my people, them starving. Now you got savage this while I can't take. While them I make money in a bungle, get a sell pussy cause they want an X gram of cocaine. When a man them belly start rumble, come out the jungle. Babylon's burning today, them a run out of home when we apply pressure. Babylon time done, yo, send for the stretcher. So when them when I deal with, who can't hear them, I can feel it. When it be sign and seal it, fire can't done, fire just start. Fire I can burn up the whole of them blood clot. Think a rap clot joke thing. The bug. Where them I try to run. You know them a go run out of town when we apply pressure. Babylon time done, yo, send for the stretcher. So when them man a deal with, who can't hear them, I go feel it. When if you go sign and seal it, fire can't done, fire just start. Fire I go burn up the whole of them clot. You know them a go run out of town when we apply pressure. Babylon time done, yo, send for the stretcher. So when them man a deal with, who can't hear them, I go feel it. When if you go sign and seal it, fire can't done, fire just start. Fire I go burn up this bomber clot. Listen. General election. So we're gonna get crashed at. Slap weight, everything in Babylon section. We're tired of the fuck pre and we don't chat. Whatever chat about why we are hunt for the food and them argue about tax. People are dead, mom's still crying. The fire's gonna blaze on these ever so cracks. So we send for your Guinea and boo. Camouflage suit, stack it us up on the parliament roof. Slurp to the base with a 40. I'm a man that walk get wicked by 2:15. Solutions or 21 gun salute. Simple from a warrior's point of view. Be a funny thing when I run upon them. Nobody rascal. Move.
There we go. That is The Bug featuring Flowdan. Track's called Pressure from a new album, Fire. It's coming out on Ninja Tune on the 27th of August. I really, really like that song. Basically, I was saying to Gaz off mic that I think it sounds like The Bug without sounding particularly like any of his other songs that I can sort of reel off immediately. It sounds interesting. It's got a really grimy undercurrent with the usual heavy dub bass. I like it very much. And Flowdan, just so many fond memories of seeing him play live and all the great tracks he's done with Kevin in the past. So yeah, The Bug back on the dance floor after 3 ambient Kevin Richard Martin records, a collaboration with Bug and Disfig. Also, definitely not an ambient record, but not one for the club. And so back with the heavy bass lines.
Pretty sure I was just trying to search for it, that Kevin tweeted something about it not even being the heaviest track on the record.
Oh, yeah, I think that could be right.
Because it shook this room. It shook the studio up.
Gareth did the sensible thing and turned it up loud.
Yeah, that is a track that demands.
Well, I was joking when I did my first NTS show back the other day when I played Bug and Disfig, and I was like, I forgot the rule of The Bug on radio where you always need to turn it down because of his production is always mastered so much louder that if you want it to sound at a similar level, you've always got to turn it down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, put it up, man. It demands it. Like, that bass demands to be, like, irritating the neighbours.
Your neighbours demand it.
Yeah, exactly. Of course they do. My neighbours are big music fans and DJ at festivals and stuff. They moved in quite recently, and we've still been talking over the fence, being like, can you hear our music? Because we've been playing it quite loud. I was like, no. Can you hear my music? Like, no, we haven't heard anything, even though we're in a terraced house.
No, I never hear anything from
next door. Good speakers pointing into the room. That's why.
Excellent radio.
I think so. I think it's insight into our lives, so I don't need to talk about your cabbage problems. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with Kevin because, he's produced some absolutely phenomenal music, as you were saying, of all different types, but it's sort of like wrapping you in a warm hug when he does something really damn heavy like that.
It's the sort of the first stuff that we got to know him from, I guess. Maybe some other people who maybe got to know through Techno Animal or something else like that. The earliest associations are slightly different.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I'm going to play this. This is sort of the record this week that has surprised me the most, I think, because it's one of those ones that you sort of stumble upon and then you're like, I wonder what this is like, and you listen to it and then really just listen to the record a lot. It's from someone called Comité Hypnotisé, and yeah, it's the moniker of Tim Van Amel, who's a Belgian guitarist, appears in Millionaire, Deus, Eagles of Death Metal, a couple of other bands he's performed with as well.
Shoe-in for artwork for the week as well. Look at that.
Yeah, it's absolutely cracking. This is one where it's like, can I afford to import this on vinyl? The answer to it is probably yes, and once you hear this, you'll know why. How it describes itself is really quite spot on. It's a subsonic wormhole where smoked out dub glues with boogie funk and off-kiltered early hip-hop vibes. Definitely up my street. Hopefully you like this too. What are you going to say?
I don't know. I was just like, that description can proper go either way.
Oh, 100%. Well, I didn't read the description until I'd listened to the record, and I was like, yep, this is Comité Hypnotisé. This is called FO.
You got something to a phone.
I think it's a pretty good description myself.
Yeah, sort of like the vocals in that are definitely the oddest bit.
Yeah, something a bit Thundercat-y at the start, so sort of dubby, funky, sort of that sort of music. Yeah, mate, it's just great.
Doesn't sound like a member of Eagles of Death Metal.
No, well, he's performed in the Eagles of Death Metal. Millionaire and Evil Superstars were his two main bands, but yeah, Deus, obviously, Belgian mainstays.
Oh, Deus. I missed that actually, the start where you're saying. Okay, of course. Well, then it kind of makes sense as a well-known Belgian rock band that you'd end up playing with some of those other guys.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Tim Van Hamel is his name. The project is Comité Hypnotisé, and the track is called FO. It's released on his record called Dubs pour Oulala. No Google Translate required for that one. It's released on Cortisona Records out of Belgium as well. So yeah, it's just wonderful. That is, if we did a record of the week sort of thing, that would be my shout for it. It's like record of the week, this one. If I like record of the day, you know how they do on Six Music, that would be the one I'd be going for.
I've listened to a lot of good music this week, I'm not sure. I want to play you one that came to us via submission. So we mention it every week, but you can contact us on submissions@independentmusicpodcast.net if you have music of your own or music of your record label or just something that you think that we'll really love on the pod. I increasingly haven't checked the Facebook inbox in weeks because I've been quite on top of the email inbox, but I will definitely check back on everyone's messages there. So Brandon X, who's a musician from Philadelphia in America, he sent something on earlier in the year and I liked it, but didn't manage to fit it on. And now he's got another release, which he also sent along. So thanks for sticking at it, Brandon, because I really, really like this. His moniker is QNDFK, and it's released on Fallen Moon Recordings out of Chicago. The album's called Themes. This is the second track on it, called Purloin Theme.
could go for another couple of minutes of that.
Short but sweet, because I really like the beat on it, and then I really like that do 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 whatever. I'm sure I'm doing that.
Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's almost like you've not just listened to it.
It's almost like the music's in the room still. That is Purloin Theme by QNDFK on Full and Moon recordings from the album called Themes. And yeah, so thanks a lot, Brandon, for saying that long. You too can have your music on the Independent Music Podcast if you send it submissions at independentmusicpodcast.net. And I really, really like it. That's the long and short of it, really, I guess. Because loads of the music we get are really good. And especially since we started only saying what the email is on the podcast as well. Because if people have to listen to the podcast, so it's all people who listen. And it's really, really high quality stuff. It's always nice to listen to music, even though I don't always manage to get it in because only 5 songs every week.
It's quite tough. You do sometimes send me stuff. I know you sent me one yesterday that I need to listen to.
Yeah,
that I haven't yet.
Bit of House. Yeah, so I mentioned that's out on Full and Moon recordings at Chicago. Previously released another album only a few months ago on a Pure Soul Peak Records out of Portland. And yeah, QNDK is based out of Philadelphia.
Got something from my favourite English or UK hip-hop label now, Boot Recordings. Played them a few times on the pod in the past. This one, it's a collaboration between Roughneck Jihad and Sens Beats. Roughneck Jihad is from South Bay area in California. Has been doing the rounds for some time now, but not one that has really got on my radar until this release. Sens Beats, I don't know if we played before, but I'm definitely aware of his stuff. He's from Montreal, and yeah, they've collaborated for this English record label, Boot Records. The record is called The Little Assassination Handbook. This is called Catastrophe.
The eyewitness reports tell of people exhibiting psychotic behavior. Our sources are telling us this does not appear to be pathological or viral. U.S. authorities are advising the public to remain calm.
Rube Moja, don't come one step closer. I'm Juan, one to post a wide brim hat and a holster, the gun holder. Slap leather colder, take gold from his molar, starving, polar bear older. Guard your snot box, bird box, creature you've never seen. And I cannot be captured by the most clever queen that preen like peacock on the scene. Flow like Modoc, mine so big it's a meme. Cannot detox, stock, more cream. I cock it, you scream like ice cream truck fiend. Fuck scene team that's really into acting. Ruffy just laughing as he's quaffing. Rappers be fapping instead of rapping. Cassette player, CD changer for the bangers. Pager packing, MC shot lasers. Attaching all flavor, action that was major. Ratchet, razor blade, shaver. Now who's braver?
It's a catastrophe. Une vraie catastrophe. It's a catastrophe. Une vraie catastrophe.
I heard sleep retired and death is the new sleep. Stay 6 feet away, I'm sick, my immune system weak. Pay attention, geek, you'll need this class to graduate. Roughneck run shit like your local magistrate. Rule tattoo, he sling a ring like Soren Ignatu. Shoot arrows like comic book accurate Yondu. Roughneck Jihad, pure sauce like Ponzu. Came a long way since Juan in his underoos house. Keys in the pocket of my kangaroos. Slinging newspapers on the route paperboy use. Cruising down the street on my huffy bike. Gotta be back home before the ignition of the street lights to avoid swift switch strikes. Each swing sting like yikes. Mental errors have cost me costly price. At its height, as high as a barrel of petroleum. You want a battle? Roll out a piece of linoleum.
It's a catastrophe. Une vraie catastrophe. It's a catastrophe. Une vraie catastrophe.
There you have it. Sounds of Roughneck Jihad and Sens Beats. Catastrophe, the name of the track taken from the record called The Little Assassination Handbook, released on Boot Records. You enjoy that, Anthony?
I love just the sort of really relaxed, laid-back flow of the MC there, combined with some glockenspiel.
The glockenspiel is definitely like actually that sounds really
that's
the
best bit with the glockenspiel. Sorry, Roughneck Jihad.
Just quite an unusual instrument to find in hip hop, right? But no, so yeah, Sens Beats on production there, and he's released on Boot Records before Tidal Wave last year, which is what we might have played on the pod previously. Like I say, Jihad is from California has been loads of releases, predominantly on Expanded Art Records, which is out of Germany. It's just a collaborative EP, 7 tracks, no guests, good stuff.
Wicked. Been 3 gigs this week, which is, last week before recording this, including seeing Snapped Ankles.
I very much enjoyed that. It's the first gig that we've been to and been allowed to stand up.
In a long while.
Long old time.
And
Right.
But the first gig I went to was to watch a metal band called Ren at the Black Heart. We might have played them on the pod before, we might have not. And I decided to warm up for this gig by listening to the excellent metal podcast, the 9 Hertz podcast. It's co-hosted by a guy called Mike, who's a long-time patron of this pod. And basically, if you imagine, it's quite like the independent music podcast, but playing basically only metal, especially grind, black and death metal, I would say. And I don't listen to it like every week, but I definitely listen to it from here and there, and it's an excellent podcast. That's the 9 Hertz podcast. And this was one from that week that really did it for me. It is some Brazilian sort of proggy metal, definitely not like a lot of the stuff on there. It is called Papangu. They're from João Pessoa, which is apparently the easternmost point of South America, so it's sort of like on the hump there. And this is a track from it called São Francisco. There we go. I find it really quite joyous, that track. San Francisco from the album Holoceno by Papangu out of Brazil. In their sort of photo on the top of the Bandcamp, one of the members is wearing a Magma t-shirt, and I think you can certainly hear the strong Magma influence there. It's like metal Magma.
I mean, I'm going to say something else that sounds quite damning, but so I'm going to start saying first, I really enjoyed that. But what I like most about this band is that their logo, they've made a good stab at like a sort of a proper metal-y logo, but also they've got a real dedication to legibility, which is not often the case in metal band logos. So you can really read it, but it's still got the spikiness.
Well, I'm glad they deliver on that front as well.
Yeah, it's a font police over here. But no, really, really cool. It's sort of like almost melodic for sludgy. It says sludgy, but it's like quite melodic in a lot of places.
Yeah, very proggy as well. I think it jumps between lots of genres. Just sounds like it'll be extremely good live as well. If Papangu ever find themselves in London, I want to be there. Thank you, 9 Hertz Podcast, for the recommendation on that one. And it's out now. Came out in June, actually.
Yeah, so look at us recommending other podcasts. It's no, it's always good. I don't know many good music podcasts, to be honest. So 9 Hertz. I can't think of
That's
any.
it, mate.
I don't think that's it. It's us and 9 Hertz, and that's us done. If you got any other podcasts,
Loads of great radio shows.
Yeah.
Like loads and loads of great radio shows that you can sort of listen back in a podcast fashion for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to play some happy hardcore now from Love Love Records, the record label of Sly and the Family Drone is sort of the one. It's probably the band that we like most on that label, isn't it? This is from Klotang, which is a collaboration between Clark and Otang. So Clark is Ben Clark from London. It's had a cassette on Activia Benz a couple of years ago.
That's Ben Clark who works for me, by the way, mate.
Is that right? That is
Remember I
good.
told you that Ben runs Activia Benz for
Oh, right,
Slugabed?
yeah. Oh, so here you go. So here is his project. Did you know this was his project?
I did not. I had absolutely no idea. And while you're wearing a Whack Whack Kingdom t-shirt that I was chatting to the guy from Love Love Records who's hoping to release an album with him next year.
Oh, great. That's it. There you go. All the things coming together. So yeah, I thought I recognised that name, but then I thought, oh, was that the guy from Pappy's?
That is wicked.
Right, so here you go. Here's someone who works for you and their music that you're unwilling to play on the
I've
podcast.
played Ben on the podcast before. He's great.
Yeah, so here you go. Yeah, so oh, I feel all very silly now. But anyway, no, this is so completely independently of Ant and anything like that. I found this and wanted to play it on the pod. This is Klotang. It's from their EP called A Mirror Touch. It's out on the 10th of September, and this track is called Hyper Thruster.
So, Gareth, I don't want to get on the genre police or anything, but I don't think that's happy
You're,
hardcore.
you're always
No,
the genre police.
That is a drum and bass tune.
So last week I had a track that you were like adamant wasn't drum and bass, and now I'm playing a track that is drum and bass, even though I didn't declare it as such. So next week I'm going to
Correctly play a drum and bass song?
No, absolutely not. no. Next week I'm going to play something that's going to be happy hardcore. And you go, this is a happy hardcore song.
Well, when it's like
Well, as with last
high
week,
BPM 4/4 thumping donk, we'll know it's happy hardcore.
as with last week, as I said last week, however they want to self-identify, I'm happy to support their wishes, and that is how they describe
Really, is that what it says in the blurb?
it. Is. So that is how I'm going. And no, it's an absolutely cracking Clotang track. It's called Hyper Thruster, taken from their record Mirror Touch, out on the 10th of September on Love Love Records. And yeah, like I say, Clark is Ben Clark, who's from London, had an EP on Ware Collective in 2018, and the two of them also collaborated on an EP on Ware Collective as well. Otang from Merseyside, know a bit less about them.
I guess it's like Clotang, like Clark and Otang.
That is exactly what it is. That is exactly what they've done there.
Nice, I'm glad I managed to
Work that through.
correctly identify that. I'd like to play you the new single from a band called Haiku Salu. They've been going for a while now, and I think pretty sure they're from London. And this is one of the generally big bangers this week. But this is really, really different. This is some beautiful down-tempo ambient music. The album's called The Hill, The Light, The Ghost. It's coming out at the end of August on Secret Name Records, and this track has just come with a really nice video as well called We Need These Beams. There we go. That is We Need These Beams from Haiku Salute. A little bit confused on the single that we're playing. It says it's being released on No Name Records, but on the Bandcamp it says it's released on How Does It Feel to Be Loved?
Secret name.
Oh, apologies, on Secret Name Records. But on the Bandcamp it seems like it's coming out on How Does It Feel to Be Loved, both of which have released albums with them in the past. Whichever way you do, it's going to be a great album. And also, apologies, I said I thought they were from London. They're not. They're from Derbyshire. They're not only known for their sort of beautiful ambient music, but also just their excellent sort of artwork and art direction. I went to an art exhibition just a couple of weeks ago where they'd made this sort of like ghostly room that you sort of looked into with little projections and stuff like that, and it was really, really nice as part of a sort of artwork by musicians tour that was going around. And they perform their sort of lamp set, which is they do their set but with dozens of old lamps that are sort of have various triggers to go with their music. And they do film soundtracks and perform in unusual locations and whatnot. And all in all, well worth your time.
Yeah, very good. A very lovely record. So remind me a little of like Explosions in the Sky, that sort of stuff.
Without the crescendo.
Without the crescendo, yeah. Without that sort of like the more delicate aspect of it. No, it's really beautiful music. Could happily lie in a dark room and let that wash over me.
Good news. End of October. Explosions in the Sky lamp show at Bush Hall. Hosted by Babi Agasat.
Can I lie down?
Well, Bush Hall, even when it's sold out, has plenty of space, so you could probably find yourself a corner.
Oh, lovely. I'm going to play something that is not Don't Let It Wash Over You. This is some phenomenal dub by Alpha Stepper. Alpha Stepper is from London. I think he's from London anyway. He's certainly a UK-based producer. Releases usually on his own record label called Steppers. This is a pretty rare release going out on Tripedal Crow, the Hamburg record label of podcast favourite Jar U. This is a split 10-inch with Jar U. This is the Alpha Stepper side. It's called Valhalla.
I sort of got this image of like cartoon bears, like stomping in a line, like boom, boom, sort of like a bit like imagine sort of Dumbo, but bears.
All the elephants in Dumbo. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. The Alpha Stepper Valhalla is the name of the track. It said his side of the Jaryu Alpha Stepper split 10-inch on Tripedal Crow records out of Hamburg. And yeah, like Jaryu's one of our absolute favourites. Alpha Stepper, someone we both liked for a long, long time. Actually, Jaryu appeared on the Steppers Records Trigram series, also of 10-inch records, To the Earth, Wind and Sea, or something along those
The
lines.
End of the Earth and Sea
Yeah, that's the one. To the End of the Earth and Sea is, it goes like one of the best dub records.
of all time.
Yeah, 100%. That's not.
Certainly contemporary.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is how we feel about Jaryu. Alpha Step are also great. Loads of awesome records that are worth checking out. And yeah, Tripedal Crow is where Jaryu releases all his stuff. So yeah, also worth keeping an eye on that. That's all we've got time for, isn't it, Anthony?
It is indeed. We've come through a thoroughly enjoyable podcast, from dub to metal to drum and bass to ambient music and all steps in between.
And a lot of bits of dub. A lot of bits of dub in there.
We've already plugged the Patreon, so not so much need to do that again. But if you want to support us financially, patreon.com/independent music podcast is the place. And generally, if you want to spread the word, give us nice reviews, anything like that, it all helps. If you sort of haven't been listening to podcasts so much because you haven't been traveling a bit and maybe you're out and about a bit more now, hopefully you can catch up on loads and loads of wonderful music.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends this week. Get a friend who like needs some good music in their life. People need good music in their life now because gigs are happening again. So how do you know who you go see without the Independent Music Podcast?
We always need great music in your life. And I want to finish with two legends of music, in my opinion. It's a collaboration between Nod and J.K. Flesh and Justin Broderick, him of Godflesh. This came out about 6 months ago, I'm going to say, but only to sort of the equivalent of patrons of The Quiet Us, where sort of the highest tier followers get some sort of exclusive music every month. And this collaboration was done through them. And yeah, it totally reminded me, actually, that the long-planned Nod Faust collaboration between Nod and Faust that John Doran of The Quiet Us was trying to get going for a long time. But we've got Nod Flesh here, which is, pretty incredible. Now, after some months later, it is being released to the wider public, a bit of Nod Flesh. And this is Not Listening, the Nod version by J.K. Flesh. I'm not sure exactly how it works or what it is, but this is what we've got.
That's how they're titling it.
Exactly, that's how they're titling it. So, and it's just being put out by State 51, who are a distributor. And so, here we go, that's it. This is Not Listening, and we'll be back with you next week.
Bye.
Thank you.